Zack Polanski, the Green Party's new leader, just confirmed he's very tempted to run against Keir Starmer in his own constituency. Not in 5 years, not eventually. Right now, Labour's poll numbers are collapsing and Polanski smells blood. Here's what the establishment doesn't want you to know. If you're tired of politicians who promise change and deliver nothing, hit subscribe. This story gets darker. Starmer won his North London seat by the skin of his teeth last election, his majority slashed by over 16,000 votes. An independent candidate, Andrew Feinstein, came within 9,000 votes of toppling him over Gaza. The man who was supposed to be untouchable suddenly looked vulnerable, and now a recent YouGov poll puts the Greens at 17% nationally, neck and neck with the Conservatives, just 2 points behind Labour. Let that sink in. The party that was supposed to revolutionise Britain is now fighting for third place. The party that won a landslide is hemorrhaging support faster than anyone predicted. And Polanski is standing at the gates, waiting for the right moment to strike. When asked directly if he challenged the Prime Minister in Holborn and St Pancras, Polanski didn't blink. It would be very tempting to take Starmer down, he said. No hesitation, no political deflection, just raw ambition wrapped in populist rhetoric. Then he dropped this. My old party has left behind millions of people who want hope and change in their lives, their communities and the world around them. His old party, Polanski, was Labour before he jumped ship to the Greens. He knows the machine from the inside. He knows where the bodies are buried, and he's not coming alone. Since Polanski took over leadership in September, the Green Party has exploded to 175,000 members. Read that again. 175,000. That's over 100,000 new members in just 3 months. These aren't passive supporters clicking like on Facebook. These are paying members, activists, door knockers, the kind of grassroots army that wins elections. For context, Labour had around 370,000 members at their peak under Corbyn. The Greens are now nearly half that size and growing exponentially. They're not just a protest party anymore. They're building an infrastructure to win. But here's where it gets dangerous for Starmer. Polanski admitted last month he's in active talks with Labour MPs about defecting. Not one or two disgruntled backbenchers, multiple MPs. One anonymous Labour MP told The Guardian, and I quote, "The Greens are where the energy is. Starmer has lost the plot on welfare cuts." Picture this, MPs crossing the floor one by one while Starmer stands at the dispatch box watching his parliamentary majority crumble in real time. Each defection would trigger a media firestorm. Each one would embolden the next. This isn't speculation. This is political dominoes, and Polanski is holding the first tile. Now, Labour's trying to downplay this. They're calling it noise, distractions, Green Party fantasies. But their internal polling must be terrifying right now because their public response reeks of panic. A Labour spokesperson said, "The Green Party's fantasies won't distract us from delivering for working people." Delivering what exactly? Because here's where Polanski twisted the knife. Ahead of the budget, he called on Labour to scrap the 2-child benefit cap, the policy that's pushed 300,000 children into poverty. He demanded they tax the wealthy, the multimillionaires and billionaires who've gotten richer while working families struggle with energy bills and food prices. Starmer's response, silence. His Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, talks endlessly about tough choices and fiscal responsibility. But here's the thing about those tough choices. They always land on the same people. Disabled people losing benefits, working families seeing their tax credits cut, single parents choosing between heating and eating. The tough choices never touch the billionaires. They never touch the corporations dodging taxes. They never touch the wealth hoarded at the top. Polanski called this out directly. When are we going to see tough choices for the multi-millionaires and billionaires? That's not just policy critique, that's a political war cry. And it's resonating because millions of people are asking the exact same question. Look at what Labour promised versus what they've delivered. They promised to be different from the Conservatives. They promised investment in public services. They promised hope. Instead, we got austerity with a red rosette. We got welfare cuts. We got Starmer defending means testing and fiscal conservatism like he's auditioning for the Treasury under Rishi Sunak. The Conservatives are loving this, by the way. Kemi Badenoch's team is sitting back with popcorn, watching the left tear itself apart. Their strategy is simple. Let Labour and the Greens fight over progressive voters while they consolidate the right. Smart politics, brutal execution. But neither Labour nor the Conservatives see what's really happening here. This isn't about one seat. This isn't about one defection or one poll. This is about a political earthquake that's been building for years. When a party goes from fringe status to 17% in months, when 175,000 people join a movement in a political climate of cynicism and apathy, when sitting MPs privately admit the energy has shifted, you're not watching normal politics. You're watching a system crack open. Think about the trajectory. The Greens won 4 seats in the last general election. 4. If they're polling at 17% nationally now and they focus their resources strategically on vulnerable Labour seats, especially those with strong environmental or progressive voting bases, they could quintuple that number next election. 20 seats, maybe 30. And here's the kicker. Starmer's own constituency is now in play. Holborn and St Pancras should be a safe Labour seat. It's North London, urban, educated, progressive. But the Gaza issue exposed something. When Feinstein ran as an independent on a pro-Palestine platform and cut Starmer's majority by 16,000 votes, it revealed that Starmer's base isn't loyal to him personally. They vote Labour by habit, not conviction. If Polanski runs there, he brings everything Feinstein had, plus the full machinery of a national party. He brings 175,000 activists. He brings media attention. He brings the narrative of David versus Goliath, the insurgent versus the establishment, the future versus the failed past. Can you imagine the scenes, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom campaigning desperately in his own constituency, trying to save his seat while his party falls apart nationally? The media coverage would be relentless. Every day would be a new humiliation. Even if Starmer wins, the damage would be catastrophic. He'd be weakened, distracted, exposed as vulnerable. His authority in Parliament would evaporate. Labour MPs would start positioning themselves for the post-Starmer era. The government would be in permanent crisis mode. And if Starmer loses, that's unprecedented in modern British politics. A sitting Prime Minister losing their seat would trigger a constitutional and political earthquake. Labour would be forced into an emergency leadership election while trying to govern. The Greens would have the ultimate scalp, the ultimate proof that they're not just a protest vote, but a genuine alternative. Polanski knows all this. That's why he's being coy, keeping his options open. Very tempting, he
in the
says,
biggest democratic exercise in the history of...
Smart. He's keeping Starmer guessing, keeping the pressure on while building infrastructure everywhere else. But make no mistake, this is psychological warfare. Every time Polanski hints at challenging Starmer, every time a poll shows the Greens surging, every time a Labour MP mutters about defecting, it chips away at Starmer's authority. Death by 1,000 Cossacks. The establishment media won't tell you this is possible. They'll dismiss it as fringe politics, unrealistic, a distraction. They said the same thing about Brexit, about Trump, about Corbyn winning the Labour leadership, about every political upheaval until it happened. The old rules are dead. We're in an era where social media bypasses traditional gatekeepers, where grassroots movements can mobilise faster than party machines, where voter loyalty is dead and people vote for whoever makes them feel something. Polanski makes people feel hope. Starmer makes people feel disappointed. So here's my question for you, and I want you to answer this honestly in the comments. Do you think Polanski can actually pull this off? Can the Greens replace Labour as the party
in the biggest
of the
democratic exercise in the history
really
of...
his seat to a Green challenger? Drop your answer below. And if you think I'm exaggerating, look at the numbers again. 17%, 175,000 members, multiple MPs considering defection, Starmer's majority gutted in his own seat. This isn't fantasy. This is the early stages of political realignment, and most people are too distracted by the day-to-day noise to see it happening. If you want the truth about what's really happening in British politics, the stories they won't cover on the BBC or in the Times, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This is just the beginning. The storm is coming. The only question is whether Starmer sees it before it's too late. Because right now, Zack Polanski is at the door and the Prime Minister's seat is looking shakier by the day.